Good evening, everybody. I appreciate everybody coming in this evening. Uh, had a good week. Still no rain. It's dry. We coughing up dust balls over here, and I want you to know I could use a little rain. We are kind of we hadn't had rain in over a month and a half or so. It's been crazy dry over here, and I know some of y'all are facing some of the same things. Um, but it'll come in due time, won't it? It'll come in due time. We're looking forward today to have Travis with us from Lazy Dog Farm. And look like he just popped up in the green room. He can't see me, or I can't hear him, but he can probably hear me. Appreciate you coming in. Give me just a minute, and I'm going to welcome everybody, say a few things, then I'll get you up here post haste, or whatever the right terminology is. But yeah, we have looked forward to today. Now, my wife is going to, she's slightly upset uh, because out of all the YouTube channels that I have watched down through the years, Travis and Lazy Dog Farm, him and Brooklyn over there, she watches them. She just loves it. I got a question I need to ask. Don't let me forget to ask you the question. Um, anyway, but she had a conference that she had to get away to this weekend, and with her best friend, one she goes on her cruises with, and all over the country with. She's anyway, so she couldn't get out of that. But anyway, she's not here, and she really likes them. But anyway, let me show you what I got in the mail. Feeding meat rabbits for free. Megan Height, living the Height life. Some of y'all may remember Megan was on our live. I don't know when. It's been a while back, but a few weeks back anyway. And she wrote this book on feeding meat rabbits for free, and I purchased one from her, and she signed it. Let me tell y'all what she wrote here. To life with Blendon Chuck. Chuck, you have inspired me to heights immeasurable. I can't say how much it thrills me to know that I'm able to send you this book. Your channel has, all right, I'm just making stuff up. It just says to life with Blendon Chuck. That's all it says. But I do appreciate it. Let me tell you a couple other things, and I'm going to get Travis, because I know some of y'all probably have questions, and I want y'all to get them ready, because y'all know me, I'm dumb as a rock. I don't know how to come up with good questions. Andrea, digging for help. She's only just a few, 40, 50 away from getting her 1,000 milestone, whatever you call it. Would love to get her over the top. MB Heritage Homestead, Michael and Bobby Jean over there, up there in Tennessee. They've got their subs, but they're working on their hours now. I think they're about 300 and something away. So if you can get over there and give them a hello, whatever, and support them, they good folks. Let me get up through here and see who has popped in. It takes a minute for some people to get in here. Y'all go ahead and like and share it out and get the news out. Got our neighbors from Gossmania Homestead, South Mississippi. Nicole over there in Houston. There's NB Heritage. Michael. Lovely. Learned a bunch from Travis. Yeah. I have too. And I've forgotten most of it. Broke Cowgirl Homestead. Hey, Gwen. It's good to see you. Hey there, Scott, up there in Canada. There's our friend Misha, a Kansas girl. Always good to see you. And we have a chance of raid this afternoon. Ooh, that would be great. Would love to get raided. Would love to have a raid come my way. Hey there, Ashley. Ashley will be our guest Tuesday morning. Looking forward to that. Rebecca, Touched by Yarn. I'm waiting on it to get cool, Rebecca, so I can use that hat you sent me. Oh, no. I hate that. I knew you were sick. I didn't know you had the virus, but I hope you get feeling better. There's our friend Jen. Everybody loves Jen. Get through here. The Mod Father, lazy days ahead. Appreciate y'all. I'm just going to I'm rushing through here and probably skipping over people, and I don't mean to do that. There's Raquel. Appreciate you coming in, Raquel. Did y'all see Ronnie and Brittany on Rich Cat Ranch earlier? I like that channel. RB Story with Ronnie and Brittany. They're some good folks. Rain. Well, I'll take rain too, Nicole. I would rather a rain, but I'll take the rain. But I appreciate all of y'all coming in. Look, let me. Okay, I got you. Driving at the moment. I got you. All right, let me get Travis up here because y'all didn't come to see me. I mean, who comes to see me? Y'all want to see old Travis. Let's get him up here. Yeah, I've never met him. I'm kind of teasing him. I'm about to get him up. He's ready to go. And I say, I'll back off. But I've never met him, but I have watched his videos down through the last couple of years, and I've always enjoyed it. So I was just tickled to death to come on. Hello, Travis.
Hey, Chuck. How's it going?
Man, it is going good. Man, you got you a microphone and everything set up there. I feel inadequate.
Well, I have my day job. I have a marketing agency, and a lot of my meetings are with clients all over the country, and so we do a lot of Zoom calls. And it comes in handy to have a decent mic when you're doing a lot of those.
I got you. What are you marketing?
So I have a business. I build websites. I do YouTube consulting. I do like SEO optimizations for websites. So, I work with some larger companies online in the gardening industry, and then some smaller companies, I kind of specialize in if they're wanting to take their business online, helping them get that off the ground, helping them build a website, optimizing what products they're making available, stuff like that.
See, I never knew that. All I ever seen about you is out in the garden. Yeah, out in the garden all the time, out in the garden. So
that's my day job, and I do the YouTube on the side. I work from home, so this is my little home office, and so I break away from this every now and then, go out there, play in the garden, shoot a video. But yeah, my marketing business is what pays the bills, so to speak.
Yeah. They say YouTube don't really pay the bills unless you get way on up there and. In the views, which you have a pretty decent following over there.
Yeah, we started April 7th of 2021, I think. And so I was looking at when you started your channel, we started right around the same time.
Did we really?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Last year?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I could have swore I started watching you before that. You didn't have another channel or something?
So I used to work for Hoss Tools with my dad.
Okay.
And then I resigned from there in April 2021 and then started Lazy Dog Farm channel.
Okay. Well, that may be where I'm getting kind of my confusion.
There's videos out there of me on, older videos I did for them. But then we started our own channel in April 2021.
Okay.
Been doing 3 videos a week since. I think there may be a couple weeks I took a break, but pretty steady 3 videos a week.
So we started about the same time, and we're still running neck and neck.
That's right.
Basically, I mean, I'm just a little bit behind, but I mean, I got your tailwind.
That's right. You can still see my tail lights.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's way off in the distance. But that's all right. I've had a blast. I didn't know, and you may have already knew, but I didn't know. Me and Belinda we have a TV, we watch the YouTube on, and I didn't know you could even comment on these things. I didn't know you're supposed to subscribe and like and all that. So we're watching all this. My daughter kind of got me in it, and she always made me watch her video, and I'd get on the TV and watch it. And she started fussing it because I never commented. I said, well, I don't know how to comment. I don't even know what you're talking about. And wound up, and I didn't know any of these folks that here in the, and I appreciate all y'all coming in. There's our friend Nick and Jan, and I'm sure some other folks have come in that I have missed, but hey, I'm sorry, folks. But I really didn't know. I didn't know any of that. So, and then it took me most all of a year before I realized that there were actual communities out here in the YouTube world, and also that they had lives, that you could do live streams. And I was like, I'm dumb, Travis. I'm old and dumb.
It's interesting to me how the different platforms out there, how the demographics of them have shifted over time. So, we post videos to YouTube. We then post our videos to Facebook. We chop them up a little bit and do shorter versions to Facebook. We do Instagram Reels one a day, and then we put those same Instagram Reels on TikTok. So we're pretty active, try to be pretty active across a lot of the different platforms. But it's interesting how you've got different demographics in each platform. So when I was in college, that's when Facebook started. So I was kind of one of the first, rounds of folks on Facebook. And it used to be, I'm 37, used to be people my age. Well, now Facebook has shifted to a completely older demographic. And you got Instagram, which is more people my age, 30s, 40s, stuff like that. And then you got TikTok, which is more people younger than me. And, it's you kind of got to almost try to change your content up a little bit to, make everybody happy or attract all the different, age groups out there.
Well, you've got a background of understanding this whole concept of the social media and the YouTube and the computer and the getting marketing and things like that. I didn't have that. All I did, I wanted to have something so my grandkids could look at. Of course, YouTube will be gone by the time they get up here. There'll be something else. And but all that you just said, the only thing I heard was I need to go and do mine on Facebook, because you said that's the older people. The younger people's.
Yeah, Facebook is definitely trending towards an older audience nowadays. And so, a lot of YouTubers at first they're resistant. They put their videos on YouTube, and then on Facebook they just share a link to it. Well, Facebook doesn't really like you trying to get somebody off Facebook. So right. I always recommend to my clients, it takes more time, but do a separate upload for Facebook. And so we basically take the same video that goes on YouTube, and then we chop it up into like 2 or 3 little mini videos that are about anywhere from 4 to 7 minutes long. That's what we put on Facebook. So we don't give them quite the long format. So on our YouTube channel, I try to have every video 20 minutes long. On Facebook, they're a little shorter. And a lot of people don't. If you got a real slow internet connection, it may be hard to consistently get videos on YouTube and Facebook. But if you can do it, I always recommend putting a separate upload on Facebook.
Well, see, that's what I just make a YouTube video, and then to get the word out, I put it on all these Facebook groups. The homesteading Facebook groups, the people, whoever it might be, our friends, whatever. And that's basically just to let people know that, hey, I got a video out. Go look at it. And I don't know a whole lot about all this. You said you worked for Hoss Tools?
I did. Yeah, I did. About 8 years or so. So
okay. Well,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. When I told them Tuesday that I was going to have you on the channel, and I didn't know, I don't know what people watch and all that. And I had several of them mention something. Oh, is that the Hoss Tools guy?
Used to be, yeah. It used to be.
I don't know. I think he does. I'm pretty sure I remember seeing that somewhere along the line. And but I've got a YouTube channel that I follow. They follow me. I actually teach the little girl guitar. They live up in New York, called the Vineyard Chicks. Mm-hmm. and they sent me a bucket basically that you strap on
Right.
from Hoss Tools.
Mm-hmm.
And when they was mentioning that the other day, Tuesday, I said, "Well, I got something from Hoss Tools. I didn't even know anything about Hoss Tools." So
Yeah, those are handy little buckets. I use mine a lot for picking okra. I like it because I don't have to.
oh yeah, it's real handy.
Twice as fast. Yeah, they are very, very handy.
Now you just recently got a greenhouse. Well, I say recently. In my mind, it's recent, but you just put up a greenhouse not too long back, several months ago, a few months ago, maybe.
Well, it was actually towards the end of last summer.
Okay, well that's a few months ago to me.
Yeah, right. Yeah, time flies, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
it is.
so we have a little 10 by 16 greenhouse. There's a company in Alapahaw, Georgia, which is about an hour from us here, called Atlas Greenhouses. They do huge commercial style greenhouses, but they also have kind of hobby greenhouses. And so I think the one we've got is called the Easy Grow Greenhouse, and it's just the plastic side, and it's not the hard side, and it's just
Right.
the poly material, whatever you call it, stretched across there, and then crimped in with the wiggle wire. But what's nice about ours is both the sides roll up, so you've got a little crank on each side, so you roll up basically the entire length of the greenhouse on both sides, which we really need down here because it doesn't get that cold, but it can get too hot in there real quick.
Well, and where you're over in Georgia, right?
So we're in Southwest Georgia. We're about an hour from Tallahassee, Florida. We're not
Okay.
far from the Florida line. That's
So
probably
me and my wife had an argument over that because I told her, I said, I got Lazy Dog Farm going to be on our channel, and she was all excited. She said, when? And of course I told her this Friday, and she said she couldn't make it, but I said, they're in Georgia, aren't they? And she said, no, they're in Florida. I said, no, I think they're in Georgia. And she said, no, I think they're in Florida. And she's not even here to witness me being right for the first time in our marriage.
man. Maybe she can watch the replay and you can prove it to her then.
She's not going to watch this
We're
replay.
almost in Florida. We're pretty close. I mean, we can be at the beach in an hour and a half. So
Okay.
not quite in Florida, but we're right here on the edge.
How far are you from the? There is a some kind of homestead and something or another going to go on the end of this month, October 28th weekend. I can't remember the name. It's just right above Pensacola. I can't remember the name of the little city, but there's going to be several people there. I think the David the Good Guy is going to be there. I know a lot of people know him, but several different channels. I don't know what they do.
Pensacola is a pretty good little ride for us. About, say, 4 hours. I ain't been to Pensacola much. We used to go to Mobile a good bit. Used to do some trade shows over there. It was 5 hard hours to Mobile. It seems like Pensacola was about 4 hours from here. So it's a good little haul.
Okay. Hey, there's the Vineyard Chicks. That's the girls I was talking about that give me that little bucket thing.
They give you a good little gift, didn't
they? They did, and I didn't want them to do that for nothing, but they wouldn't have it any other way. So
mighty nice of them.
Squirrel. Yeah, they pick on me all the time, Travis. I get squirreled. I go from one direction to the next direction and all that. But there is a question. Teresa from Always Gardening Prep, and she's asking, how's your back? You'd injured your back a couple months ago.
Yes, last year on Father's Day, I was working out in the garden, and our nanny, the lady who watches our kids in the afternoon, picks them up from school and watches them to me and my wife knock off. Her mom lives down the road, and they had a gathering that weekend with their family, had one of these big inflatable water slides. I'm sure you've seen, you know, that's the big thing around here. You rent those for a birthday party or whatever. Anyway, it was Sunday afternoon. She said, y'all come over. We still got this thing for one more day. So I grabbed a couple of watermelons from the garden, went over there and You go down, you do it a couple times, you get a little more confident, and then I went down it one time and got folded up on the way down, and I smashed my L5 vertebrae, and I knew it as soon as I did it. I couldn't hardly move, and I sat in a chair, couldn't hardly talk. My wife took me to the emergency room, and I got it pretty good, but thankfully it didn't require surgery, and it just took about 8 weeks in a brace, and my wife had to do all the garden work, but I'm good now. It actually feels better when I'm working out in the mornings and moving around. If I don't go to the gym for a couple of weeks, I get a little stiff, but as long as I'm stretching and moving around, it's great.
Well, I remember when that happened, and your wife is Brooklyn, right?
Yes.
I remember her having to get out there in the garden and do it tickled me to death to watch her get out there because she just made it. I don't know. I thought it was kind of funny to watch her do it because she was some of her mannerisms and what she was having to do, that she probably wasn't used to doing that you would normally have to do.
Yeah. She didn't. I don't think she said she didn't realize how much went into the upkeep of it. Now, she's always been helpful coming out and helping me pick things and stuff, but as far as maintaining it and what goes into planting, as far as laying the irrigation and all that, I think that was a little eye-opening for her. She's an attorney by trade, and so gardening is she didn't grow up gardening like I did, so it's something she's kind of learned over the years.
She done a good job. It was fun to me. It was fun to me just to watch, and like I said, I thought it was 2 or 3 years ago that I started watching, but time gets away from me. I don't know from yesterday to the next, but we would watch you on the TV, and my wife, and you're probably not going to remember it. I'm going to ask you, but because I told her I'd ask you, but there was a certain cucumber that started with an S that you said y'all really liked for pickling. And for the life of me, I can't remember the name of it. I actually went back 1 or 2 times to that video, and I had to search it because like you said, you put out quite a few videos. I went back and found it a couple times. I had to rewatch it, and I still can't remember.
It's probably Supremo.
Supremo.
Is that it? So that one it's really good producer, but one reason we like it so much, it's got an amazing disease package. So it's resistant to just about any cucumber disease there is out there. And down here where we have high humidity, I'm sure y'all got humidity over in Mississippi as well. We get a lot of diseases on cucurbits, squash, cucumbers, watermelons, pumpkins, things like that. So having a good disease package is what we plant mostly. As far as squash, cucumbers, watermelons, pumpkins go, we plant mostly hybrids just because we have to have that disease resistance.
The hybrid is more disease resistant?
It can be. It's not always, but there are hybrids out there that are more disease resistant. Most of your good seed websites will list the disease resistance or tolerance. Sometimes it's not like a complete resistance, but they're more resistant than, say, a plain Jane cucumber variety you might go find at your big box store.
What now I want to get into it, but and plus if you have a question in the comment, you may have to ask it a few times because I'm notorious for not seeing things. Can you see the chat?
I can. I'm thumbing through it here. I don't know if I'm seeing the most recent or the oldest here. I'm trying to see. Okay, there we go. I have to scroll through it for it to pop up there. Somebody put a link to Burpee Supremo. Yeah, Burpee carries them. Johnny Seed carries them. I know. I'm sure there's a couple other places online. So whatever your favorite seed store is, they order those. But it's a really good pickling cucumber variety. The in addition to the disease resistance, the size, consistency on them is nice. So it's a nice blocky pickling cucumber. some of your pickling cucumbers, they'll get kind of curved or look a little wonky from time to time. This one's got a nice consistent shape. It's actually the same variety that we've got a lot of produce farms here in South Georgia. And there's a big cucumber, they call it a pickle farm, but cucumber farm down the road, and that's the variety.
Well, now I'm like the person that I heard a man say one time. He said, I'm not smart enough to even listen in on this conversation, much less engage in it. That's how I feel when it comes to talking about gardening with you, because I know that just from what you do, you're very knowledgeable, and you not just in certain areas, but seem like across the board, and you're willing to experiment, you're willing to do things. Hold on, there's our friend Appalachian American Homestead. Appreciate y'all coming in. Appreciate everybody coming in, by the way. I hope y'all don't think I'm just ignoring y'all, but your greenhouse has really opened up your ability to have all your starts, and I mean, you don't do it like I do. I do a couple here, a couple there. You do hundreds here and hundreds there to get it out. Of course, you got a lot more space. But
well, I mean, kind of the way I look at it, I can buy a pack of broccoli seeds that has, say, 200 seeds in it. Okay. I could plant a few of those seeds and then try to hold on to that seed packet. Most of my seed trays hold or have 160 something cells, or maybe a little bit more. So, 162 broccoli plants, say, for instance. So a lot of times it's just easier for me to plant the whole tray. I use what I want, and I can usually find somebody to give the rest of the plants away to. Right. It takes just as much time to get everything out and plant a whole tray as it does half a tray sometimes. So, and I'm not one to really like to carry over a lot of seeds from year to year. I'd rather have fresh stuff. So I usually just plant way more than I need, and I'll find people that plant. So.
Well, how many? I was trying to see the other day. How many of those you've got? Like different gardens that's laid out, like 5 or 6, maybe.
Well, we have 10 plots.
10? Okay.
Yeah. So when we first moved here in 2013, we started out with 2 plots, and all the plots are approximately 1,000 square feet. Now on our videos, our property looks a lot bigger than it actually is. So it's just 2 acres, and everybody that's ever came by is like, "Wow, it's a lot smaller than it looks, on camera." So we started out with 2 plots. This was back in 2013-14, and then we slowly added more and more. We ended up with 10 plots that were about 1,000 square foot each. So do the math there. About 10,000 square feet, which is about a quarter acre of gardens. Not that much. I mean, for some people that is, but it's, not that much garden. But we like splitting it up into little plots because it makes everything more manageable. If you just got a huge quarter acre garden, it takes you a long time from getting one end of the road to the next.
Yeah.
And it's hard to kind of rotate things and move things around. But with breaking it up into subplots, we grow corn here, we grow watermelons here, and we can rotate around every year. We can give each thing kind of what it needs. We're going to fertilize corn a lot different than we would tomatoes, stuff like that. And so we used to sell our vegetables. We stopped that a couple of years ago. And when we had a market farm, it was helpful having all those plots. Now we don't quite need that much space. So I took one of our plots recently and added 13 raised beds in there. So we have a raised bed plot now. I just got through planting some carrots in there right before I came and jumped on here. And then one of the plots is going to be turned into fig trees. I'm really big into fig trees. We have I'd say about 40 fig trees, about 20 different varieties currently. So we're expanding our fig orchard all the time. And
what makes you so interested in fig trees?
Just all the different, there's so many different varieties out there, and they're all kind of different. So there's different flavor profiles. Some figs produce way early in the season, some produce later in the season, and they're just easy to grow. I think it's one of the easiest fruits you can grow on a homestead. I just picked this one here. This is a LSU Gold fig. I just picked this one before I came in here. I can see the inside of that. These are really good. So this is what I call a honey fig. So you got honey flavored figs, sugar flavored figs, and berry flavored figs, and some kind of sit between those ranges. But this is a honey fig, and they're really really good. So
And that's the LSU.
that's LSU Gold. Now LSU's got lots and lots of different varieties out there that they've released, but that's the LSU Gold variety.
I remember it seemed like when you just put them out like a couple of months ago, last year?
So I started planting fig trees about 4 or 5 years ago. And so I kind of had this vision all along. I think it may have been a dream I had one night, believe it or not. Anyway, I kind of had this idea that I wanted to make these fig trees, sell fig trees online for all these different varieties. Because most people that have a fig tree in the backyard either have a brown turkey or a Celeste. You know, we got a huge brown turkey tree in our yard that Brooklyn's grandparents planted here. It's probably been here since the 60s. But there's all these other varieties and flavor profiles out there that a lot of people aren't familiar with. So we started planting trees, planting every year. We plant more and more trees. And then last year, we started propagating a lot of our trees. So I take cuttings. Once the frost comes, all the leaves fall off in November. Take cuttings, start them in our greenhouse, and then grow them up to a plant in it's a 4x4x9 pot. So kind of a columnar pot. And we put them on our website. I think we had 100 or so trees this last spring, and we put them on our site, and they were gone in an hour.
Really?
So this year we're planning on having somewhere between 500 and 1,000 trees of all different varieties, and so it's fun. It's kind of like fig addiction. Once you get into figs and you try a few varieties, well, I got to have this variety, and I got to try this one. And, they're easy to grow. We put drip irrigation on ours and just hammer them with water. And our sandy soils, they can really, really soak up the water. We just water them, and they grow.
Let me ask you this, Travis. Last year, I don't remember what time of year, but I got a few cuttings off of my dad's fig tree, and it's probably one of the turkey kind. I don't know nothing about fig trees, and I got a few cuttings off, but I had one of them actually come out. It put on several leaves, done real good. I nursed it through that last winter, and then through this summer. I said, well, I think you're supposed to plant them in the fall or the winter, aren't you? Or, I mean, I have no clue, but I was thinking since it's a tree, probably during this time of year sometime, or in the early spring, or before everything starts going out. But you can tell me that in just a second. But anyway, it's been doing good. We've been going through pretty much of a drought here. I guess y'all probably have too. I don't know. But anyway, the leaves actually fell off of it. It's still got the green on the top of the branches. Is it dead, or is it just the cold?
It's just probably the dry weather and this time of year. So we mentioned this on a video a while back. Usually this time of year, all my trees are losing their leaves, especially if it's dry. But since we added the irrigation system earlier this year, a few months ago, right? We've been pumping the water to them. What we figured out is we can get a lot more extra growth out of them. And the more growth we get, the more cuttings we can take, the more trees we can propagate. We can get a lot of extra growth and even some late production. So like this LSU Gold, it's already had one round of production, then it kind of quit during the heat of summer. And then we start pumping the water to it this time of year and kind of fire it back up a little bit. So I would, it was just probably water. I would say it'll be fine. Now, next spring it'll start putting on leaves. You'll be just fine. But if you don't really give them a lot of water, they'll start losing leaves this time of year. It's just part of the natural progression.
So when would you generally want to plant them?
So a guy, there's a guy in South Louisiana named Cajun B. His real name's Brian, but he goes by Cajun B. And he's kind of my fig mentor, I guess so to say. We did a video, went over there, visited his place. Now he's in zone 9, we're in zone 8B. He plants his in October. He swears by planting them in October. But he doesn't get quite as cold as we get. We don't get very cold, but he gets even less cold than we do. I don't plant mine until the spring, but he plants his in October. You're in what, south to central Mississippi?
Yeah, more south, around the Hattiesburg area, if you know where that is.
Okay, yeah. So, you're probably just a hair bit north of us, latitude-wise. I would wait and plant in spring. You might get away with planting in fall, but I think spring probably be ideal.
So I just need to kind of watch it through the winter, and
yeah, it should be fine. It should be fine.
I'm new to all this. I've had a garden all my life, but just for my family, just piddling tomatoes and peppers and stuff like that. And since I've gotten onto YouTube, I have found out that there's a whole big wide world of plants. It's amazing.
Just when you think you've tried and grown everything, you sure haven't. I mean, last year, first time we were ever grown celery, and I love, I didn't ever know, but homegrown celery beats the fire out of store-bought celery.
Now, did you just say that y'all are on one of your videos, maybe that y'all are about to plant some celery, or
I have some in the greenhouse now? It takes forever. Takes a little while to germinate, but the little seedlings take forever to get big enough to really transplant in the garden. Now, I was at Lowe's earlier, and they had a bunch of pretty-looking celery plants, but I said, I'm going to hang with mine, and put some time
in. You plant them this time of year, though?
I started the seeds back in, I don't know, a couple months ago, mid-August or so.
Like you
can. If you're in the South, you can put the plants in the ground now. If I had my plants ready, I'd put them in the ground. A hard frost will bite them back a little bit, but not that much. But I mean, if you were in the northern part of the country, you'd want to cover them. But where you are, they get bit back a little bit by the frost, but they'd be just fine. So if you find some celery plants, I'd say go for it.
Blenda was wanting to grow some celery, and I said, I don't know anything about celery. I barely know how to grow a tomato, much less celery. But she was wanting to, but I never have looked into it, to be honest with you. It's not something that we find up here at our local feed and seed store, right up the road.
Right.
Hey, Dawn, it's good to see you. Appreciate everybody coming in. And if I've missed a question, you just let me know. I'll try and I don't have Blenda here to straighten me out. Most times she can catch that kind of stuff, but
is Blenda your moderator normally?
Blenda listens better than I do.
Oh, I got you.
And sometimes she'll come in here and sit with me, and she don't like being in front of the camera too much.
I got you.
But she would. I mean, she's not opposed to it. She's got other things she'd rather do.
Yeah. It makes sense.
It makes sense, and it works. So she's just happy to let me do my thing. Now, on those pictures, now you got a pretty well thought out watering system. Or see that chuckles right. Yeah. I've been threatening to put in one, like you got the drip lines and the you just got water available. Not only that, you got fertilizer available to all your plants and stuff. And mine is lucky to get out there with the water hose every now and then, or maybe scoop some manure out from underneath the rabbit cage and chunk it on it. But you got a little bit more in depth. Tell us about your watering system.
Well, I mean, it sometimes, some gardeners might be the type where it just kind of the bug kind of hits them on Saturday morning, and they run to Lowe's, get a few plants, and come home and want to plant something, and they got to fulfill that itch right then. But if you're doing an irrigation system on your garden, you kind of have to plan ahead a little bit, and it's going to take a little more time to set it up, but it's well worth it in the end, because then all I got to do is go out there. A lot of times I just run mine overnight, so I go out there, hook up the water hose 10 or 11 o'clock before I go to bed, and then come out there in the morning and turn it off, and everything's happy. So we use we use drip tape in our in-ground garden plots to keep all those happy. We actually got a video coming out at 8 tonight. If anybody's interested in how to set up drip tape, we got a DIY start to finish, every piece you need, how to do it. Anybody can do it kind of video coming out at 8 Eastern tonight. So we do that with our in-ground plots. On our fig trees, we don't use drip tape. We use what they call drippers, which you can find in different gallon per hour outputs. I use 1 gallon per hour dripper per tree. So if I let it run all night, each tree is getting 11, 12 hours of water. And then we just set up a kind of a custom setup on our raised beds, which will be a video out next week, I think, showing the final kind of setup installment for the raised beds. That's been kind of fun to do that. I've never done a raised bed irrigation setup, and a lot of our viewers kind of helped point me in the right direction there. But ended up looking really neat and nice once we got it all done there, and that's going to be really handy. I don't have to go out there and hand water those raised beds every day, because they will dry out a lot faster than the in-ground garden.
I'm sorry, I meant to leave that up there. Our guest today is Travis from Lazy Dog Farm, and when I think it was you. I watch a lot of the different videos, especially these people that what we call in the community, that the people that I know, people that I talk to all on a regular basis, and all that. But and so sometimes I get videos mixed up, but I'm almost positive it was something that you said about planting in the fall, or for the cooler weather plants, that you're able to, that since a lot of your warmer weather plants tend to spread out,
right?
Your pumpkins and melons and your tomatoes and even pepper and all that, but your cool weather crops, you can tend to kind of keep more compact. And
right, yeah. And that was something I never really thought about until we put in all these raised beds. And I was kind of going through my head, okay, what do I want to plant in my in-ground plots? What do I want to plant in these raised beds? And, I got to thinking, well, none of this stuff really it can go either way, because none of this cool season stuff, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, rutabagas, beets, carrots, parsnips, chard, spinach, lettuce. I'm sure I'm forgetting something out there. But all that stuff kind of stays in its lane as far as, where you plant it. And especially things like carrots, you can really stack a bunch of them in a small spot. Onions, garlic, they don't take up a lot of room. But for the warm season, even summer squash, you plant one squash seed, mine end up getting 6 foot in diameter by the time I get tired of them and pull them up. So, and then, of course, you got pumpkins, watermelon, corn, even, you got to plant a decent amount of corn to really have anything.
How do you like your popcorn?
I like it a lot. We still have several bags in the freezer, and our nanny picks up the boys from school, and they come home every day. I go in there and check on them, and it always smells like popcorn in the house. I think they eat somebody every afternoon. It's nice to have.
I thought that was pretty cool when y'all grew that, and you tried it out. I can't remember if you've done it on a couple of videos or just one video, whatever. But I remember it seemed like y'all tried it out. Did you have different kinds, or did you just have the one kind?
The kind we grow was a variety called Robust R. It's a yellow popcorn. It's a hybrid variety. We got it from Johnny's. It's called Robust and the R and 3 numbers. I don't remember the numbers, but
Okay.
they only have a few popcorn varieties on their sites. It's pretty easy to find. But and that was my first time growing popcorn, so I kind of had to learn as I go. It grew out nice. We shelled it and everything, but with popcorn, you got to wait till it gets a certain moisture content in it for it to pop real good. Now, from what I understand, the people that grow a lot of popcorn for a living, they have these fancy things that can measure the moisture content. But folks like me and you, what you do is you just have it. I had mine sitting in the greenhouse. Just have it out there drying. And about every week or two, you just take a few kernels and try to pop them, and it pops a little better each time. And then once it got to where we could pop a batch and almost all the kernels popped, I put it in gallon bags, put it in the freezer, and that's where it stays. And we just take a little measuring cup, scoop us out about a quarter cup at a time, pop it, and good to
go. Nicole mentioned about the vine borer, squash vine borer. Do you have a lot of issues with that?
Not as much as most people. We don't have a lot of vine borers. We have squash bugs. We have leaf-footed bugs bad. We don't have vine borers for whatever reason. We have a lot of pests and disease pressure because we're in the biggest agricultural county in Georgia, and there's a lot of agriculture in Georgia. But my house is surrounded by thousands and thousands of acres of cotton and peanuts, and so a lot of what they do tends to deplete the beneficial insect populations. So we don't have a lot of natural defenses here, and the insects can be pretty rough down here. But yeah, for some reason vine borers aren't one of the bad things. I would say this: if you have a lot of vine borers, I don't know any summer squash varieties that are going to be resistant. But if you want to grow a pumpkin and you have bad vine borers, try like Seminole pumpkin, something like that. They're supposed to be resistant somewhat to vine borers. Any of the what they call C. machata species, Seminole pumpkin, Cherokee 10 pumpkin, your butternuts, those are going to do a lot better with vine borers than some of your other kind of pumpkins and squash.
Okay. Well, Nicole had tried the trombone chino or whatever. It's one of them long, big or trombone, and they were supposed to be pretty borer vine, squash borer vine, whatever you call them, resistant. But apparently she's got one over there out of Houston that really likes them. So it wasn't resistant to that Houston vine borer.
And it can be tough if you're on a small scale because it's hard to rotate, hard to move things around. And it's hard to convince somebody not to grow squash in a given year. But if it gets really, really bad, you may consider, okay, let's not give them anything to eat this next year. Take a break. And then, because, if you got them bad and you keep giving them stuff to eat, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse, probably.
Okay. I never thought about it from that standpoint. Just don't feed them. They kind of like the in-laws. If you feed them, they just keep coming.
That's right.
Over and over and over.
That's right.
The raised beds are new to you. You just got them, right?
Just did. So we've been grinding and grinding and grinding. There's a company called Ollie Gardens that partnered with us, and we put those. They're really well built, but there are a lot of bolts in them. And it's the same bolt and nut and washer. It's not like a bunch of different ones, but it's like putting together a Lego set almost. So we did one or two a night, got them put together, and then was fortunate enough to find a buddy of mine's uncle down the road had a sawmill and had like these 13-year-old composted wood chips I was able to get for free to fill them up because I would have gone broke buying bag potting soil. That's has gotten outrageous, by the way, in case you haven't bought any lately. And so we got them filled mostly with that, topped them off, did the irrigation, and then put mulch around them. And we've been busy this last month getting all that together, but it's finally almost done.
Well, I mean, to fill them things, it takes a lot to go in there, especially a few of them bins you got are pretty good size.
Yeah, I did the math because I had to tell them how many loads I needed. I did the math. It was 20. The total volume of all the beds combined was about 20 cubic yards. So, yeah, decent amount of stuff. So,
yeah. I don't know if Gwen from Broke Cowgirl Homestead, she said it takes a lot more water than an in-ground garden. But I guess if you got it set up with the watering system, that it'll have a constant flow to it.
Right. Yeah. That's, it takes a lot more water so far, just from what I've seen. One, you don't think that little short distance of being just that little bit closer to the sun makes a difference, but it does. You go climb on a roof if you don't believe me.
Yeah.
But, just being that much closer to the sun, and then also the soil in the raised beds doesn't retain moisture quite as good as in-ground soil does.
And I don't know what is that made of? Is that some kind of metal, or is that?
Yeah, it's called galvanized aluma zinc. So it's supposed to last forever. I don't know how you prove that it lasts forever. Nope, we don't. None of us last forever, but I don't foresee having to replace it anytime soon. I'll put it that way.
Right. Yeah.
And so they took a little bit to install, and they're not cheap, but you figure in the price of lumber nowadays and buying nails and screws and the fact that lumber is probably going to break down or warp over time, we decided to go and make the investment and get the metal ones. And we liked it because you can put them in all kind of different shapes and configurations. We could have tall ones, shorter ones, round ones, long, skinny ones.
Now, let me ask a question. On those raised beds, do you just amend it every year, or do you have to go in there and eventually take it all out and just kind of start over, or you just kind of amend it as you go along?
Our plan is just to keep layering. We won't know until we get a good rain, if we haven't had in a while, how much these are going to sink down. I tried to fill them almost all the way at the top, assuming that they're going to compact some. We won't know quite how much until that happens. I ran an overhead sprinkler on, but I can't mimic rain with that.
No.
Really beating it down. So what I did, we filled them almost to the top with those 13-year-old composted wood chips. Then I took some of the native soil in that plot, which had some chicken manure in it from the chickens being on that plot prior. I layered that. Then I layered some nature-safe fertilizer, which we use a lot of. I put a little bit of mushroom compost and then a little bit of potting soil. And each of those layers were really thin, but that's what I topped them off with. And then so as it sinks down over time, then we'll probably just go back in there, fertilizer, compost, maybe a little potting soil, and just keep layering and layering and layering.
I've noticed that you like to use a lot of ground cover crops, buckwheat. What else you use?
I don't do a whole lot of buckwheat anymore, just because it's so short down here. It's so short term down here. It flowers out in 4 or 5 weeks, and then I got to do something with it. But we do a lot of cover crops. Yes, we have a chicken tractor. We grow cover crops, and then once they're established, we put our chicken tractor in there and move it every day. Chickens eat the cover crops. We don't have to feed our chickens as much, and then we get free fertilizer.
What are you using as a cover crop?
Different stuff. So I got some stuff over here I just got from Green Cover Seeds, a couple Cool Season mixes, which I can't read. One's called Cool Season Soil Builder, and one's called Overwintering Mix. So, it's got different stuff in it: clover, winter peas, rye, vetch, oats. It's just a mixture of different things there.
I know. Yeah, I seen when you built that chicken tractor. How easy is that thing to move around?
I'll put it this way. I built it as light as I could build it with it still being sturdy enough to withstand the hurricane, which we get down here from time to time. I got this thing on the back called a chick lift. So it's a company, I think it's Chick Lift or chicklifts.com. If anybody might be familiar with the YouTube channel Sow the Land, he uses them a lot too. But it's this little wheel rig on the back where you step on it and it kind of jacks up the back end. And that makes it really easy to move. I could move it without that, but that makes it really, really easy to move. So the only thing that makes it tough to move is if my cover crops are real tall and I'm catching a lot of resistance from those and I'm pulling it there. But it's pretty easy to move. It takes me 5 minutes to go out there every day and scoot it along.
And you're not moving it 100 yards. You're just moving it the length of the tractor, pretty much.
The tractor is 6x8, so I'm moving it 8 feet every day.
Okay, so you do move it once a day.
I do move
Okay.
it. Unless if we go camping or we go on vacation for a few days, I'll pull it off the plot because I'm trying to get an equal dispersion of fertilizer. So if we're going away for a few days, I'll pull it onto the grass in between my plots and I'll let them sit there while we're gone. And then when we get back, I'll put it right back on the plot. That way I don't have any, spots in my garden that are too hot, so to say.
Right, I got you. Them that chicken fertilizer is good stuff.
It's free.
Good stuff. The Old Swedes farm, he's up there in Minnesota. He raises a lot of chickens. And I mean, he lets them free range and they come back to the barn. And he's just like, it's just the neatest little operation. And when he cleans out his barn after the winter, or through it all, he composts all the shavings with the manure and everything. And then he just piles it up out there where he wants his garden. And he lets the chickens just get out there and scratch through it and all that. And which they don't have a big growing season up there, a long growing season.
Right.
And then he'll spread it out. And I want you to know that is one of the finest looking gardens I think I've ever seen. For a backyard gardener.
Chicken manure make you look like a hero, that's for sure.
It will. I need to get on to my chickens. I need to get them busy working for me instead of me just giving them handouts.
That's right.
Hey, Brampton. Good to see you, Rochelle. Always good to see Rochelle. Rochelle is up there in Canada and a good friend. Appreciate you coming in. Got Rudy Irahita. And I appreciate y'all coming. Look, I appreciate all of y'all coming in to our live this evening. We're about to get off here. I've been about an hour. I don't want to keep Travis too long, but I am thankful that he would come in and be with us. But I'm thankful y'all are coming in and keeping the chat going and getting to know Travis a little bit. And I just appreciate y'all coming in and sharing and liking and just your friendship. It just means the world to me. I wish I had the ability to tell you that. My son just walked in. How much I appreciate all of y'all and what y'all mean to us here at Life with Blend and Chuck. Travis, if you'll hang on just a second, I'm going to end this broadcast. Let these folks get off to get them some supper.
Sure.
And I'll be right with you.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate you having me.